Well, welcome back to Hillbilly Shipwright. This is where we've been building our 3-boat Become a Shipwright of Old series from Model Shipways. And we are still working on the third vessel, the Muscongus Bay Lobster Smack. And we've got quite a bit of progress done. We are, in the last video, we finished up our mast, and we also made our boom and the gaff for setting our sails and rigging and all that stuff. So that takes us up to step 49, which is stropping the blocks. So let's jump over to the bench over here and get to work on that. Okay, so we are here on step 49, and that is stropping the blocks. Now, I'm not going to read all this. We've already stropped one block for our Traveler, which we've already got on the boat. We are going to strop the other blocks and get them ready for rigging. So the important thing to remember is it tells us here for the 5 blocks with only a hook, omit step A. When fitting the blocks to the eye bolts on the spars, close the hook a little around the eye bolt to prevent the block from coming off again. So I left the eye bolts off of the mast and the gaff and the spar, right? I'm sorry, the boom and the gaff. The boom, the gaff, and the mast. Because I wasn't sure exactly how I was going to do all this. So apparently, we're going to be doing 2 blocks that have the eyelet. So we're going to have an eyelet on one end, and we're going to bend it around and around the block, and then on the opposite end, we are going to form a hook, just like that. So we have 2 blocks like this. All the rest of the blocks, they recommend us, instead of making it like we did for the, let's see, where's it at? Oh, somewhere in here. Oh, here we go. You can see here where we have the eyelet for the Traveler block, and then the wire's twisted and doesn't have a hook on it. We are going to make the blocks 5 of them with just a hook. So we're just going to bend it around the block there, make a hook on it, and then 2 of them are going to have an eyelet, just like we see here in E. So we're going to make one of each, and then I'll make the others off camera. No sense in you sitting there and watching me make 7 blocks. That'd be kind of boring, wouldn't it? So we have our blocks now. I stained mine. They do talk about that as well. That's up to you. And I did round them off and shorten them just a little bit to include making that little groove right there. I've got something to show you where it's at. There we go. So that the line will come out of the block appropriately. So yeah, you got to do that on both sides, of course. And you may have to refine and deepen the little groove there on the block to hold our strop or strap. It can be either way. So we've got our block. We're going to need some wire. So this is the copper wire that comes in the kit. This is the thin wire. And we'll just start off with a section. I think we have plenty. I don't want to waste any, though. So there we go. Oops. Sticking to my finger there. So I'm going to straighten this wire as soon as I find something to straighten it with. And I'm just going to use this big craft stick here. This should work on this thin copper wire. I had trouble with the larger wire. So what we're doing is getting the bends out of it there, so we have something straight to actually work with. Yeah, that's pretty good. So That's more than sufficient for us. That'll work. Now, you need something to bend it around. I'm going to use this drill bit right here. I think it's a number 60, which should be more than sufficient for what we're doing. Go a little bigger if you want to. We'll try it with a 60. So I'm just going to bend it around. Can I get my thumbnail up underneath it there? Oh yeah, it's cooperating in it. Not at all. Never have trouble when you're off camera. There we go. I'm going to bend it on around here and get it just like they have in the picture. Oops, dropped it. That's okay. So there we go. We got our loop, just like so. Now, it's kind of important to know which way you're going to put this. This is going to go on top. The hook, for the two that have the hook goes, if I'm looking at this correctly, it's going to go up towards where the hole is for our line. So we want to make sure that we orient that correctly. Yes. No, I'm doing it backwards, aren't I? Double check. Yes, so the hook goes down below. Okay. Or above. I guess that depends upon how you look at it there. So what I need to do, I think, I need to kind of hold this somehow so I can get my bend started to move around the block. Doesn't matter which way at the moment, I just need to get it around the block. Of course, I'm going the wrong way. Look at that. Yeah, been a tough day already. Pinch it. This wire bends really easy, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal for us here. Yeah, there we go. So as we twist it, it's going to I need to change my block around, don't I? It's going to pull the wire down. We're going to see how this goes. They only had a single loop in theirs. They didn't twist it entirely. I'm going to go right there. And we're going to twist it up. Just like so. I think we're in good shape. Trying to use my nail here to push the wire down. Yeah, looks good. Yeah, it looks good. I believe one twist is all we're going to need. We're going to find out if this thing comes apart, huh? We'll probably come back and put some CA glue on it. Trying to straighten it up there. So I'm going to use my beading pliers here to help us get our hook. I think that's going to work for us. We'll just cut it off right here. So that is a block with one hook. It looks pretty good. Not bad. So let's double check. Make sure that we kind of look like we're supposed to. Yeah. Looks good. So I'm going to set this one aside. Yeah, it looks good. So let's make one with just the hook. All right, so the hook is going to go up to the end where the hole is closest to. So we just have to bend it around here. Get it around the block. And we're going to twist it. It's not too bad. Snip that tail off right there. And we want it to be, it's going to look the same as this one. Hopefully. So that we can attach it to the eyelets without much trouble. Just like that. So I think I am going to go back. I'm going to go ahead and let me go ahead and make these. We're going to go ahead and make these up. So I need 5 of these and 2 of these with the eyelet and the hook. So that's what we're making here. So there we are. We have the 5 with just the hook. And then we have the 2 with hook and loop. And I don't think we need to do anything else to them. I think we're fine. They look pretty good. Now, of course, you can stain yours any color you want, make them blacker, browner, or paint them white. You can do whatever you like with them. I like this. This is the same stain that we use, the gunstock color. That we used on the seats and everything on the actual Lobster Smack. So I think it's going to look good. All right, so those are done. Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at these right here. And these are the adjusters, slack adjusters or binders for our stays for our mast and our bowsprit. Now there's 4 of these. I'm kind of trying to clean them up as best I could. They still don't look all that great. So I even opened one up. We'll take a look at this one. right here for the hook. It's supposed to hook onto our chain plate. Let's take a look at that real quick. As you can see, there's not a lot there. And I guess that would work. So these are made out of Britannia, which is the soft white metal. And we have that little bitty hole in the top of them that our stay is supposed to go through. I just don't know. This one's even deformed a bit. So yeah, well, let's see if it will go through. I don't want to tell you that it won't go through, just in case it does. You'll be like, he'll be lying to me. It doesn't look like much there, does it? So I don't know. I'm going to use this threader here. See if we can get it to pull through. Maybe it will. Oh no, I pulled my threader apart. Alright, so it's not going to go. Not like that, and I don't think it would go. Even if you put CA glue on the end of it and cut it sharp, it's still going to be too big. As you can see right there. To actually fit. So there's a couple of things we could do here to make that work. One is to put a ring in the top of it that we could put our line through. There's not much metal in there. We can't really drill that out too much. You know, it'll just break off. So, no, whoops, stuck to my finger. Not only that, but they're not perfectly round from the casting that they did. So I'm kind of disappointed in those. But I think we can reproduce these. I think we can make some. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make mine. So I only have to make 4. And we can make as many as we like. But let's make 4 and see what that looks like. And I guess this is, since I broke it, I'm going to throw it in the trash. So here's what I'm going to use here. This is 1/16 inch brass tubing. And this is K&S Precision Metals here. There's the number on it, 100131. And then it has a hashtag 5125 for piece. And so that's just brass tubing there. I've already pulled one out. And I have annealed it. That's why the color is kind of bad there. And the reason why I annealed it is because through the manufacturing process, brass gets hard. And I need it soft so I can cut it. This being brass tubing, as you can see there, I need to be able to actually cut it without causing it to collapse, which means I'm going to have to saw it in two. So, you know, I can't use my cutters here on it because it will collapse it anyway and pinch it too. And I actually need the hole that's in the middle of it there. So we're going to use this, and I'm going to use some wires. So this is assorted gauges of wire for jewelry making, right there. This is silver wire. And we have 2 at 16 gauge, 1 at 18, 1 at 20, 1 at 22, and 1 at 24. 24 is the smallest. And it tells you how many meters you have of each of this. So you know, 1 yard, 2 yards, 3 yards, 4 yards, and 6 yards of 24. 22 is the next to the smallest gauge. That's this one right here. And it just so happens that 22 gauge, I think, is going to actually fit inside our tubing. So yeah, it'll fit inside our tubing. That's a good thing. And it is about, realistically, about the same diameter of this cast part there, the hook on our cast part. So I'm going to use this wire, 22 gauge jewelry wire, to make the pieces that'll have our eyelet and hook on it for our stays. And this will be the turnbuckle part, except ours is going to be brass instead of silver, but that's okay. A little bit of bling for our boat. So I need to go ahead and polish this up. And, you know, a polishing stick will do that. So I'm going to polish up this length that I've got going on here. Get it nice and shiny, just like we did our chain plates. I'm going to cut it, well, I'm going to cut it off with a saw. So, and that's why I annealed it, because I need to be able to actually use a saw on this. So let me go ahead. I'm going to polish this up, and then we're going to mark out and cut us 4 tubes that are going to be the length of the body there of our adjuster. So that's my plan. So let me get this prepped up so it's ready to use. Okay, so I've got it all cleaned up. Nice pretty brass there. So what we're going to do, I need to mark it for my overall length. And I'm about to ruin my blade, but its life is just about done anyway. So there we go. That is the worst mark in the world. Should be good enough to see. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use my razor saw to do this because it is brass. And I should be able to get a nice clean cut with it. I know I'm shaking, aren't I? Let me put it on pause or stop. We'll come back to it after I get it cut. Okay, so I've got my little brass cut. And I went ahead and cut 4 of them, so they'll all be the same length, or about the same length. And I do need to go and make sure that the ends are open. I need to pass that wire through this. And there's my wire. Now, when you unroll this, it's not going to be straight. So, using my metal tweezers, I tried to use the wood on it, but it didn't work too good. The wood actually works good on copper and brass, but not so good on this metal wire. So if you press down real hard, and I know I'm shaking the camera, sorry, but you can straighten that wire out into a usable thing. We just want to make sure it'll pass through our tube here. There we go. So it's going to pass through, no problem. So making turnbuckles is all kinds of fun here. So I'm going to use these looping pliers that I have here. And these are the ones that's got the horseshoe on one side there. And I need a fairly small loop, so I'm going to go right to the end of our pliers there, because it is a tapered cone. So you can make different size loops. Just using my fingernail, my thumbnail there to press it in, as you can see there. And now I need to make it into an eyelet. Just like that. Oops, sorry. Hope you saw that. So there we go. We've got an eyelet on the end. And that should be more than sufficient for our rope here. That is going to go, or our cord. That is going to go for our stays, for our mast. And also for our bowsprit. So that's nice. So the next thing to do, we're going to thread this through. I can stay in focus for you. Now we need to make another eyelet. And it needs to be 90 degrees from this eyelet. So I'm going to make sure that I hold it this way. And I'm going to use the original part here, kind of figure out where the bend needs to go. Right about there, I guess. We've got plenty of wire, so if we mess it up, we can cut it off and do it again. Wire's cheap. So I'm deciding. I'm going to lose some length as I bend this. So we're going to go ahead and bend it this way, and then I'm going to bend it back like so. I'm going to bend it on around. It's okay if you're not in the same plane, because we will correct that later. I keep getting out of focus. I am sorry about that. Now that ought to work. If it doesn't, we can try again. So I need to nip this off right here. Now I need to kind of straighten it out a bit. Like that. Well, that's nice. So we are going to have to open this back up and get it on our chain plates and our eyelets and stuff. So that's not that big of a deal. I think I'll leave that alone. So that's going to be roughly the same as what we got right there. Except now we have eyelets that are actually big enough to work with. Yeah, that slack adjuster looks good. So one more thing we're going to need to do. Let me get me some CA glue and we'll finish this one off. Okay, so I'm going to slide my brass down. I've got some CA glue here. This is just medium CA glue. We'll put it on right there. And we'll just slide it up. Give it a second to hold it. And there we go. So that's one down. So I'm going to do my best to make 3 more, just like it. So I've made up all my turnbuckles. Now there's the ones that come in the kit versus the ones that I've made. So I kind of like mine better. One thing's for sure though, we'll be able to get our mast stays threaded through there, and we'll also be able to get this to hook onto those chain plates. So we need to probably go ahead and start setting up our all these slack adjusters here and or turnbuckles. And these, I don't know what we're going to do with them. We'll just hang on to them, I guess. We don't need them unless I truly screw something up. But we've got plenty of material that we can make more of these if we need to. So, yeah, I like those. All right, so it's time to attach our turnbuckles. I need to open this up somehow. Kind of stiff, but I think I got it enough open there. We're about to find out. So the first ones I'm going to do is going to be on the chain plates. Oh, yeah. Perfect. So I got it open. Now I got to get it closed again. Let's see. I don't want to scratch anything. Now I am using a pair of pliers that's got some grooves in the jaws there so it doesn't slip. It allows me to close this back up. There we go. So there's one. I'm putting the long end towards the attachment point. The short end is going to be for the stays. So that's kind of the way they wanted us to do it. Of course, we're doing it with our own turnbuckles that we've made here. Hopefully that's enough. Not quite enough. Well, nope, it is. Okay. As you can see, it's not a lot that I opened it up there. I just need to get it just enough. There we go. So those are on. So I have the two to put on to our bowsprit. One goes underneath there on the eyelet that we already put on there on the very bottom, and one goes on the furthest out, the most forward eyelet there. So I'll go ahead and get those on. Should be easy. So the next thing, I'm going to go ahead and put on our oar locks. I've been through the book a few times and I don't see where it tells us to actually install them. Just kind of clearing out these holes here in our oar lock pads. Probably some glue in there and who knows what else. I want to check and see that they fit. Oh yeah. So they're going to go in. Need to double check both of them. Now we already polished these up earlier. Now you can glue them in or not glue them in. It doesn't matter, I guess. I'm just going to use some CA glue and go ahead and attach those because we don't want them falling out. That would be less than advantageous, I guess. There we go. I think it's in there. Well, nothing's holding it though. It's kind of afraid of that. There we go. Oh, yes. See how much trouble we have with the next one. It's pretty loose. Let's not drop it on the deck. That would be bad. Oops, oops. Well, come on. There we go. Yeah, those look good. So I polished them up at the same time that I tried working on these, and that, well, it's okay. You just got to deburr them and clean them up like you would a plastic part, more or less. So those are in place. So let's see what else we need to fix. All right, so I've made a mistake. Big surprise, right? This optional detail right here that I omitted on my mast, drilling the 2 holes and making it look like a sheave, you know, a pulley there. I didn't do that because it said optional detail. The 2 holes representing the sheave in the masthead can be refined using a small round Swiss file as shown above. We did not do that on my model. And the reason why is because if we go back and look at the picture here, there is no line that goes through the top of the mast. Nothing above those blocks there for our rigging. So I thought, well, you know, why go to all that and not use it? Well, it just so happens I was going through the manual here, and here it is. Step 63, so, you know, we were on 49 doing the stropping, and then we made our turnbuckles. But, so, instead of moving to step 50, I happened to look here on 63. It's called a topping lift. And this is the last line. So, and where does it go? Well, here it is. It goes from our boom up through the top of the mast. And then it comes down, and it is tied off on our Samson post. Yeah. So that line right there is not in the picture. Wherever the picture is. On the front of our, there it is, of our manual. So you can either omit that or you can add it. I think maybe we should give it a shot to add. So that means I've got to back up and got to fix our mast. So let's go ahead and do that, because we want to do that before we start, you know, rigging and putting, you know, sails and all that on there. So let's go ahead and put that in. So we can see the cross holes here on our plans. So I'm going to use that. And we'll have to take our rings off here. Not going to need them at the moment. And we need to mark out or figure out how we're going to do that. I need some masking tape. I got that piece is too small. Let me find something here. We need some more masking tape. So here we go. I have a piece. Oh, there's a piece. Let me get that off her. So, sometimes when I'm masking stuff up, I end up with too much off the roll, but I don't throw it away because it's useful. So, yeah, I don't want it to be too close to the eyelet that is the tallest, or I should say the furthest from the deck. I'm doing a terrible job there. Just put that around. Like that. So I'm just marking off the boundaries, top and bottom. So I know where my holes are going to go. So I just assumed since they didn't laser cut any holes in there, so I mean they did all the others, why not do these? So I figured since it was optional, but as we've seen in step 63, you actually need it if we want to do complete rigging. So we're gonna fix this. Okay, so I'm gonna mark it. Thereabouts, I guess. Put me a little divot in there for my drill bit to follow. Need to sight that up. Well, that one looks good, but this one's a little off. Yeah, those will be fine. So I need to, I'm going to drill some holes. Now this is a number, I think 68. Something like that. I'm sorry. Yeah, 68. I'm going to try to use that as a guide to keep me vertical when I drill these holes. So the whole thing is, I probably won't be able to do this on camera, but if I line my drill bits up that they are parallel to one another, I should be able to drill the hole through. So that's the idea. You're not going to be able to see me do this, so I'm going to go ahead and put these holes in. Do need to put a backer on it. I need another block. Let me go ahead and get these holes drilled. As you can see, it's falling over. So I got the holes drilled. I'm going to take this little fine triangular file I have here and start my groove. Between the two holes there. You could use your knife also to cut these out. Just trying to remain directional here, trying to get them to point to one another. Yeah. So the idea here is to give the impression that there is a sheave or a block, you know, well, not a block, but a pulley inside the mast. So I don't think I'm going to wander off too bad here. I'm going to switch over to this round one here and try to make it deeper. Might be better to... The wood is so soft, I need to be careful to not damage it. Give me a sliver here. There we go. Little sliver there. Little sliver here, little sliver there. Being careful. As careful as I can be. Yeah, there we go. Hopefully I'm in frame. I don't know if I am or not. I think I am. So we got it going our way here. Whoops. There we go. Yeah, this is working. Yeah, we're starting to get the look that we want there. I don't want to have to fill this and try to redo it, so need to take our time. And that's coming out nice. That'll be good. I'll have to do the same thing on the other side. So once I get this completed, we'll take another look at it in a nice close-up there so that you can see what it looks like. Then we have to throw a little bit of white paint on it there. That'll be fine. Okay, so that's what we got going on there. I kind of figured I should have just went ahead and done this anyway, but now I know. Now you don't have to do it, of course. It is optional. And the last line for the rigging, you can go without it, as they did in their picture that's on the front of the manual. But anyway, we're all set now. I'll let that dry. Okay, so I am putting my eyelets on. You gotta cut these off because they're way too long. Watch me drop it in the glue. I need to double check. Each one I put in, I check to make sure that my insertion depth is going to work. Yeah, that'll work. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. See, I wish that they would not put any holes in our mast and spar, because all that does, does that look straight? It looks okay. All it does is make the hole too big for the shank on our eyebolt. And of course, that means you don't have a tight fit. And you really want a tight fit. You don't want that stuff pulling out. I mean, think about it. You get all your rigging on and everything, and then you're tightening up your line, and all of a sudden, eyebolt comes out. That's not good. So anyway, that one's on. I went ahead and put the 3 on the mast. So that's good. And then on our gaff, we have just 2. 2 on the gaff, 1 on the bottom of the boom, which is the one we just put in, and then the 3 on the mast. So there we go. Those are on. And in our kit, we have 2 extra. So I guess they expect me to either lose one or mess one up. So we won't lose those. We will keep those, because you never know when you may need another eyebolt for something. Okay, so we have our mast rings. We need to put those back on before we forget about them, because they're not going to go on over top of the blocks once we get those onto the mast. So let's get those on. There we go. We're in good shape there. So looking at our instructions, the 2 blocks with the loops are on the mast. So take them off my tape there. We will double check. Yes. So on the back side of the mast, the ones with the loops are right there on the back side. So I feel comfortable putting those in place. Now we're going to have to bend our loop there so that it holds. I'm sure there's an easy way to do this. I'm probably not doing it that way. Can you see what I'm doing? Because I can't. I need to close up my... There we go. There we go. I hope I'm in focus. I'm sorry. There we go. All right, so those are the 2. Yeah, looks good. So now when we go to the others, these are just the regular hook. So we can put them on. All right, that looks good. So I will go ahead and put the other blocks on. One goes onto the bowsprit, and the rest of them go on the gaff and the boom. So now we need to prepare our material for our sails. And one of the lessons that we learned in our last build is that these fold seams do not really go away. As you can see, some of them are really deep. So, you're going to have to iron it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to soak mine in some warm water first. Then I'm going to heat up my steam iron. You know, the same iron that you use for ironing clothes. And we are going to iron it until all these seams, these fold seams here, well, it's not really a seam, but the folds, until they disappear. Because if you don't, it is going to show up. It's going to show up in your sail, and we don't want that. So I'm going to do a little laundry here and ironing, and we're going to get this nice and flat so that it doesn't have any of this on there. So okay, finally, our main sail. Look at that. Item number 50. Finally, we get to the rigging. Finally, we get to rigging this model. The patterns for the mainsail and jib are given on the plan sheet. First, process the sailcloth as described on page 32. So, if you go over to page 32, this probably looks familiar because this is the exact same thing that was on our pram. So we are going to do this, and that is to mix up some glue. We're going to use this right here, PVA glue, and we're going to mix it up to where the consistency is like cream instead of really thick, with some water. So we're going to dilute it down, and we're going to paint it with a brush and make sure it soaks through, and we're going to let it dry. So we're going to put that on this mat right here. So you need to make sure that your mat is nice and clean. I have cleaned it. I'm just checking it for anything that might be left over. Don't want anything sticking to our sail. And here's our sailcloth. Now, I took and basically rinsed the cloth out with hot tap water and wrung it out as much as I could. Then I put it on an ironing board and I ironed it nice and flat. All right, just like you'd iron your jeans or your best Sunday shirt. So there we go. We've got it. It looks good. So now we got to get it attached to our mat. So we're going to stretch it out. We're going to put tape crossways here. Put it under light tension just to keep it down. Same thing, opposite sides here, or ends. I'll tape that down. Just checking to see if it'll bunch up, and it doesn't, so we're in good shape. And then we'll go on the corners. Just a little bit of tension. If you do a good job ironing the material, which I hope I did, we're not going to have any folds in it, and it should pretty much lay exactly where we want it. just like so. Okay. Okay, so I have my mixture here, and this should go pretty quick. Now, that's no big deal. We're just going to paint it on. This is going to kind of act like starch in a way. It'll take and stiffen the material and make it much easier for us to work with. At least I think that's that's what it's supposed to do. So I will get this completely coated, and we're going to have to let it dry, of course. Almost as fun as finger painting. Okay, so here's our sailcloth, and I did go back and put a second coat on it. And what that diluted PVA glue is doing for us is to actually bind all the fibers together so that when we go to cut it, we don't get this right here, the unraveling on the edges. We don't want that on our sail when we go to cut that out. So it's very important that we put that watered down PVA glue on there. Next thing, these are our plans here. And we have our mainsail, and we have our jib sail. I think sometimes I called it a sprit sail, but that's not right. It's a jib sail. And as you can see, of course, we got it on this large piece of paper. Now, you have the option. You can either cut them out of this, or, like I did, I put it on my printer or my copier, and I copied them, and then I just cut them out. And I did have to raise the contrast so that all these fine lines show up, because if you just copy this, these really fine lines, they don't really show up. So I did that. Now we're going to use this for reference here because it does tell us the different parts of the sail, the luff side of it here, the foot, the head, and the leech. And that's the mainsail. And then we also have a luff, a foot, and a second luff. So there's two luffs on our jib sail, according to our instructions, that is. So I'm going to take and lay these out. Now, one of the things our instructions does not tell us is what direction the weave of our material is supposed to be in, which it did on our pram, but they're not telling us that on this particular build. So I'm trying to decide if my luff should go with the seams. And I think maybe that's probably the best thing to, maybe luff with the seams. Well, what would that be like? That would be this way. And that would allow, can we do the luff? Well, we got two luffs, so it doesn't really matter, I guess. Yeah, decisions. The other way we could do it with the foot. We could line our luff up this way. What does that get us? Doesn't really get us anything there, does it? We could probably do that. Maybe. Yeah, I think maybe I'm going to do that right there. That means I've got too much material here, which is okay because I did the full sheet of sailcloth here when I put our PVA glue on. That way it could all dry at the same time, because we are going to have to cut strips out of this to do all of our reinforcements. So I think now the best thing for me to do is cut off this. I don't need all this out here. Famous last words, right? And this will also give us an idea how well this is going to cut. And that should be fine. I'm going to use this curved blade to do it. And it's a brand new blade, nice and sharp, so that hopefully we go straight through. Looks like we're all right. You need to use a good sharp blade, because the last thing you want is for it to stick just like it did there. Alright, so I'm going to have to recut that, so that's okay. Apparently I didn't have enough pressure up here. So let me go ahead and cut that. There we go. I got it cut. I'm going to move this one out of the way for now. Put it in a safe place so we don't have any accidents. You can see how thick that, or how stiff that has become. Very nice. I like that. Now, when we go to add all of our reinforcing pieces and stuff that we are going to put in from the cut piece that we took off, we're going to be re-wetting this. So I want to make sure that it is secure. It doesn't come up off of our cutting mat. I think that's going to be fine. So I'm going to orient mine to the foot here. I want to make sure I've got enough room to do our jib sail. I think we're fine. Probably do it either way. So I think we'll just do them both at the same time. Yeah, shouldn't be an issue. You can see what a nice cut that is right there. And that's all because of the PVA glue. We don't have any fraying or anything there on the edge, so that's good. So I'm going to have to mark this out. I'm going to use a pencil for that. And a ruler. And we're just going to transfer the edge onto our cloth. Just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and get these marked out, because we're going to need these lines to tell us where to put all this edging on. Okay, so I've cut my strips. I have 2 1/4-inch strips here. Those are going to go on the luff on our sail, and also the luff on our jib sail. And then the rest of them are 1/8-inch strips, as called out in the book. And that's what they're telling me. Let's see. The one on the left of the sail is 1/4 inch wide and the rest are 1/8 inch. In addition, there are 2 1/8 inch wide reef bands, and that's these two in the middle here. Well, it's not in the middle, but those are the reef bands. So those are going to be 1/8 inch. Also, I know in their picture they look different, and I will go ahead and tell you that they are also different on the plans. You can cut them to the size that's on the plans, or looking for my ruler. There we go. This is supposed to be the 1/4 inch one. However, it is more than a 1/4 inch. So the same thing with the rest of them. They're supposed to be an 1/8 inch, which would be there. And they are larger on the plans to include reef bands. They're more of a 1/4 inch than they are an 1/8 inch. I cut mine at an 1/8 inch. So those are the decisions that you're going to have to make. So anyway, we are here, and I'm going to actually cut this down a little bit here. First of all, where I'll run off the end, I don't want to mistakenly use that because it's not actually a 1/4 inch. So I'm going to do my luff first. I don't need all that excess there. And we're also going to do the luff on our jib sail. That is the other 1/4 inch here. You can kind of see there what I'm talking about, where it's not a true 1/4 inch. We'll get rid of that. I don't want it to run over on my other sail because I'm going to do both sails at the same time. That being the case, I need to make sure that I've got enough room in between them. Just so I'm not running into the other sail there. So here's how we're going to do this. I have diluted PVA glue here. And I'm going to be laying it just inside my pencil line. So we're going to need some glue to stick it to. And we'll go back over it once I get it stuck down in place here. I think that should suffice for the moment. We will see. Just inside my pencil line. Just like so. And we are going to go ahead and get it to adhere. By painting over it with our diluted PVA glue. And that'll soak in and adhere it just like it's supposed to be, hopefully. So the rest of it, pretty simple. We'll be doing the 1/8 inch on the other boundaries of the sail. I'm going to do the 1/4 inch here on the long loop. This is where the little rings are going to go to attach it to our forestay. So we need that nice and solid, just like this one hopefully will be. So I'm going to go ahead and get all of these adhered down just like I did that one. And we need to let them completely dry before we move on to the next step. So I've let this dry. So we got all of our strips on. So now I need to put the gussets on. And those are the pieces that goes into the corners there. As you can see here. And I think they're all... Looking for my ruler. 1.25 inches. Yeah, they're 1.25 inches by 1.25 inches. You can see that. Yeah. They're all the same. Well, they're obviously different shapes, of course. But they are 1.25 inches from the quarter. From each corner of our sail, 1.25 inches on each side. So now we're going to flip this over. That tape I used is really good. So the instructions don't really tell us, but the gussets go on the opposite side, and that's from the pram instructions. So I'm gonna get all this tape off, and we're gonna flip this over. And I'm not sure yet, but I think we'll be able to see the outline of our sails from the opposite side. That would be a good thing, so that we can get our gussets in place. Now we'll put the gussets on oversize and cut them to fit once they're dry. And we're going to put them on the same way using our diluted glue. I know I'm shaking the camera, aren't I? I apologize for that. That's good tape. So let's not mess this up. As you can see, it sticks really good to the mat. Carefully lift it up. I've got a lot of glue on it there. There we go. Oh yeah, see, we can see really well where all of our corners and stuff are. And we don't want it, when we get it wet again, we don't want it to buckle on us or anything, so we're going to tape it back down so that it's stationary, and then it can dry nice and flat. That's the plan anyway. So far, so good. Careful where I put this one. It's really close there to the corner. All right. So the idea is to cut us some pieces. They're going to be all right, them scissors are no good. That's a bad start, isn't it? There we go. I think we're in good shape there. So the idea is going to be to put these in the corner, 1.25 inches, like so. I'll be able to see through that, more or less. Yeah, I keep picking up the wrong scissors. So this is what's left of the material. You can see how thick I got it there, or how stiff I've got it rather. Try to figure out a way to save as much. Well, I don't really need to save any. I'm always going to have plenty, I think. Famous last words, huh? Yeah, I've got plenty. Right up until we don't. Right up until we don't. Just don't want my pieces overlapping. Pretty sure I'm fine there. Yeah. That's fine. That's probably too small. Maybe not. It'll probably work over here. Maybe not. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these pieces out to where I've got one everywhere I need it. We're going to do these the same way that we did our strips. I am just a little bit, can't get my finger up underneath it. Need to move that down. There we go. So it's that simple, really. Get my brush wherever I need it, I guess. That's good. So I'm just going to go around and glue all these down. And of course we'll have to let them dry. So that's 2 down, and what's that? 3, 4, 5 to go. So now once everything dries, we have the dubious task of having to cut everything out. And I'm hoping that my scissors yeah, they're doing just fine. So when we glued this up, I put these reinforcing strips here just to the inside of my pencil line. So now that we're actually trimming off the pencil line, as you can see right there. And that is so that we don't have that showing. It was one of the things I learned on my pram build, because I do have some pencil lines on it. So yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut these out. So another thing that you need to do, you need to get rid of the really sharp corners here from where we cut it out. supposed to be kind of rounded. I don't know how round mine are, but it's so thick, and I've got so much PVA glue on it there that it's kind of playing a little hard to nip here. You know what I'm saying? I think you do, especially if you're doing your sails at the moment. Might be easier to lay it down and just use a razor knife or a hobby knife on it, but it might be what I should do, but I'm just going to do it like this. Well, that one's playing hard to get. All right, did I get them all? No, I didn't get them all. I think I'm wrinkling my sail up. Probably be a lot more wrinkled by the time we're done with it. Okay, that's the last one. All right. Okay, so we have gotten a lot done. Primarily, one of the biggest tasks that we had to do is to get our sails done. So, we've got our jib sail and our main sail. So, one of the things that they have as an option, of course, you know, it's modeling, everything's option, right? But there are some seams that go, you know, onto the sail here, which you can do in 1/16 inch cloth strips. I decided I wasn't going to do those because 1/16 inch is really, really narrow. It's really hard to cut those out. So I didn't do that. Okay, so the next thing coming up, we're going to have to drill some holes in our sail because, well, it's got to be tied to the mast and the boom and the gaff and all that. So that'll be in the next video because we also have some little lines, yes, to cinch up our sail, to shorten the sail width that come down that we've got to put in too. So that's more sail work. Then we can rig this thing and we'll be done. So, all right, special thanks to all my subscribers. Because of you guys, I keep making these videos. I hope that you enjoyed this one. And if you're not a subscriber, I hope that I've earned your subscription. So, till I see you guys in the next one, you guys stay safe.